Welcome, everyone. I'm very honored to be here with you today to celebrate our sacred craft and to share a message that is not just about astrology, but about our role as conscious creators in this great transition that we find ourselves in on planet Earth at this time. It's almost inconceivable, the magnitude of the moment we find ourselves here traveling through this massive portal of transformation. And I feel that so too must astrology evolve. For some, or for a lot of people, astrology has been viewed as a system of fate, something that maps out our future, that maps out what's happening to us. But what if astrology is something more? What if it is a living dialogue between the cosmos and our consciousness, one that evolves as we do? And what if its purpose is not to predict the future, but to show us how to shape it? Today, I want to invite us to travel beyond fate, beyond fear, and beyond the illusion into a new way of working with astrology that aligns with the frequency of this new age. We're standing here together at the threshold of this great shift, and the question is, have we as a collective been creating unconsciously, repeating the same patterns of the past? And if so, how can we step into our divine responsibility as quantum creators of this new paradigm? So before we dive too far into anything, I have a little bit of a video for you here to activate our cells. And so here we go. Did you feel that? Thank you to my beloved Russell Olhausen for making the amazing videos. We actually work together often. We have a nonprofit, the Shift Foundation, which is all about ushering us across the bridge into this new extraordinary time that we find ourselves. So it is, yes, beyond extraordinary to be awake on the planet at this time, and especially with this awareness that is almost undigestible to understand how important this moment is in our evolutionary history. Not 100 generations of our ancestors stand where we stand today. And so taking a brief look back, we know that humanity's history is not linear, that it moves in great cycles, just like the cosmic rhythms that we track in astrology. And throughout time, there have been the golden ages, the periods where humanity is in full alignment with divine intelligence, no need for external authority because we lived in harmony with universal law. And then we've also lived through the dark ages where there's times of forgetfulness and we've been trapped in illusion and division, materialism. And during these eras, external forces outside of the divine rose to power and to convince us that we're separate and from each other and from our own creative potential. So at this moment right now, we are finding ourselves at this pivotal threshold where we're moving out of the Dark Ages, the Age of Pisces, carrying the remnants of the Kali Yuga, the age of illusion and control and hierarchy, and we're entering into this new uncharted terrain, the Aquarian Age. And this shift is not just astrological, it's a complete transformation of our reality. And as the veils lift, the old systems are crumbling and the choice becomes ours. Are we going to cling to the past and repeat the same mistakes? Or are we going to embrace the higher frequencies that are upon us? And so for these last 2,000 years in the Pisces age, we were basically living under a veil of Maya, the great illusion that convinced us that reality was something on the outside, something dictated by forces outside of us, whether it was religion or the church or, the political system, the education, the doctors. And astrology was very much used as a fate-based program. And in this state of illusion, or this dream state, when we had this illusion of separation, that we were divided from the divine, we accepted these ideas that the power belonged to someone or something else. But in truth, reality is not something rigid or predetermined. It's actually a dance. It's fluid. It's unfolding moment to moment. And this is what the ancients called Leela, or the cosmic play. So the mistake that we made in the Age of Pisces was believing that the play was happening to us, as if we're just characters in some script that we didn't write. But in reality, we've always been the ones dreaming, the ones shaping the story. So now that we find ourselves fully in this wild time, the Age of Aquarius, if there's any question, all we have to do is look at the news, or the ingress of AI and UAPs, and I think we understand that we're no longer waiting for this age to arrive. We're here. The question is, are we truly awake? Are we really truly shifting out of being passive bystanders or players in someone else's narrative and co-creating the future that we really want? And so these are some of the larger questions that I'm asking us as a community. And so this time of this great unveiling, the dissolution of duality in the Aquarian age, is about this huge quantum shift in consciousness, the syzygy that reunites matter and spirit, masculine and feminine, the return of the Purusha, the one mind consciousness. This is the cosmic intelligence that is flowing through all things. It is the time or the activation of the internal Christ consciousness, not a person, but a frequency, where we're all waking up and remembering that we are divine creators. And as we awaken, we unlock the God codes, the unlimited source of energy that's always been with us. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, in a letter back in the 50s, expressed that this time in moving into the Aquarian age essentially means that God will become man and man God, and that he thought that this would be a very tumultuous time and that there could be a cosmic power of destruction. So this is a profound responsibility that is accompanying us as we enter into this age of enlightenment, where we're coming into contact with these co-creative powers. And so herein lies our responsibility. Quantum physics even tells us that reality is not fixed, that it is the field of infinite possibilities shaped by observation and consciousness. The observer effect tells us that reality exists in superposition, an infinite number of possible outcomes until we observe it. So what we focus on basically collapses into form. Quantum entanglement tells us that everything is connected beyond time and space, and the shift we're experiencing is not just personal, it's collective. So this basically means that we are by far not passive in this transition. We are actively shaping our reality, and what we focus on determines the wave function that we are collapsing. Our attention is the architecture of our lived experience. So what does this all mean for astrology? Astrology is not here to dictate what's going to happen for us. It's actually here to assist us in this path of cosmic awakening. It's a mirror of our evolution, a tool that doesn't confine us, but catalyzes our transformation. And so when we have harsh aspects or challenges that we face, they are activations. They are the rhythm of the polarity point of the enantiodromia, the necessary contrasting energy that breaks us out of the mold, that wakes us up. We have to remember we've been in a state of amnesia for thousands of years, and we become apathetic, and we're creatures of habit. And so those contrasting forces serve a very sacred role, hard aspects, not punishments, but a necessary alchemical pressure designed to help break us out of falsities. The ancients knew this. Astrology was not a system to be bound within. It was a language to be mastered, and that eventually transcended. We are definitely not confined to our natal chart. So when we fully integrate the wisdom, then we step into direct communion with cosmic intelligence itself. So the way that we speak about reality then is how we're going to experience it. Words are spells. They're vibrational codes that are directing our energy all the time. In the quantum field, every single word that we speak is an energetic command, reinforcing specific timelines. And so what we say, we are essentially casting into being. Whether we're speaking from fear or creation, the universe is going to respond. So when we're speaking about astrology, or we're utilizing astrology, or us as astrologers, and we might be using it unconsciously, validating fear, division, or political bias, we're not reading the stars, actually. We're reinforcing an old timeline. Victim consciousness, the Pisces age, is keeping us locked in these old era patterns, being reactive and powerless and waiting for external forces to dictate our reality. When we say, oh, this is a bad transit, or this is a malefic aspect, then we're just programming that struggle. Creator consciousness, or the new Aquarian age awareness, is the invitation to recognize that every challenge is actually there to serve our greatest evolution, to offer us a quantum leap, to consciously align with a higher experience or a higher timeline. So we have to be very, very mindful not to use planetary movements to substantiate our personal bias and our opinions, and using astrology as a tool to confirm rather than as a revelation. It was never really intended to reinforce division, and so this is something that we definitely need to work on healing in our community. When we're projecting blame into the field on ideologies or figures or collective events, we're actually casting the very spells that hold us in separation. So some of the ways in which we want to be aware whenever we're still operating in the Pisces age is that, looking at things around non-duality. Precision of language is the precision of creation. So every thought we speak creates a potential outcome for our shared creation that we are manifesting together from that one mind, that Purusha. So we have to ask ourselves, are we reinforcing limitation, or are we speaking the highest possible outcome and paradigm and planting seeds for the future that we want to see in this new Aquarian, new Earth paradigm? So some more specific principles in this evolving astrology of quantum astrology I feel are really crucial to enact is perception through the one mind, seeing everything through that one mind consciousness. In the Aquarian age, we have arrived out of duality into organismic consciousness, where we wake up and remember we're all one organism. We are all organs of the organism, that reality is not fragmented, it's a unified field, and that what we perceive in others is a reflection of what is existing, and perhaps we are resisting within ourselves. So always practicing neutrality over duality. And once we can stop resisting and start witnessing, we enter a still point of creation, and that's where the power is. To borrow Rob Bresney's amazing quote, to practice pronoia as opposed to paranoia. This teeter-tottering between a utopian and a dystopian reality is something that has become really predominant in the collective consciousness. And so instead of fearing things in the future, expecting greatness and remembering that we are eternal and that we are in a once in a, this is perhaps the fifth incarnation of Earth, according to galactic history. This is more than we can actually really understand how important it is that we take the reins with our skills and become masters of the precision of thought, the focusing on non-duality. When it comes to manifesting, to project ourselves into that time-space reality, to hold the vision of the timeline, to hold the vision of the horizon line on the other side of the birth canal. Speak as if we are already there. Our words encode reality. When we're speaking from a timeline that we wish to anchor, we're magnetizing it into the now. Remembering that transits are activations, they're not predestined. Whenever we feel something's coming, I just went through Pluto over my 0 Aquarius ascendant, create a vessel for the energy, work with it alchemically instead of bracing and fearing it. Remembering our energetic sovereignty, that the external forces do not dictate our reality, it is our frequency that does. Harmonic speech, every word is either reinforcing or the old or the new. And so being impeccable with our words and resonance over resistance. What is meant for us does not require force. If we align with the ease, then we align with truth. And everything, as we know, is frequency and vibration. So the simplicity is what makes us feel better? What gives us joy? How do we find compassion for the contrast? How do we find forgiveness for the contrast? So this is an invitation for all of us, for creators, visionaries, astrologers, to practice these principles and to use astrology as a tool for awakening rather than limitation and more division. And so as we know, we've got all the outer planets changing signs this year, and except of course Pluto did last year, and with Uranus moving into Gemini in July, undoubtedly it's going to be a mental revolution. It's also going to be a choice. The sign of the twins representing duality, Uranus is going to electrify this space, and it's very likely we're going to continue to see, but more magnified, a real bifurcation in consciousness. There's going to be an incredible mind upgrade. The mind itself is evolving, rewiring for these higher intelligence, this multidimensional awareness. Those embracing the shift are going to experience rapid insights, expanded perception, telepathy. There's going to be a shattering of constructs, rigid beliefs, old ideologies, dualistic thinking. All of this is going to be the storm of awakening in a time of real mental liberation for those that are ready to let go of the old programming and come out of the amnesia and stop the projections onto the hologram. This bifurcation will be the two paths. Some will be clinging to the old, the Pisces, the two fish continuing to chase themselves round and round, trapped in fear and blame, and others are going to take a quantum leap and embrace this fluidity of this new human, this new evolution of consciousness that is available to all of us. And so our minds are not just receivers, they're generators. They're truly architecting the new earth. And this is our responsibility as the awakened dreamers. And so we're not just, as we started this presentation, we're not just bystanders. We are the architects. We are literally becoming it. We are, this ascension, this awakening process into this new age is biological. We are evolving as a species on a genetic level from Homo sapien to the new human, the Homo luminous. It is literally encoded in our DNA. It is also reflected in the astrology. It is also foretold in prophecy. This evolutionary leap that we are in is going to be really accelerating here in the next few years. This is the year of transition, the snake, number 9 year. This is a time where we are dropping the mask, we're dropping the old patterns, all of the addictions, all the ways in which we're unconsciously still feeding the beast of division. And this new astrology is aligning with all of this genetic upgrade, with all of this coming online with our telepathy, coming online with our omniscience, our psychic gifts, our healing gifts, all of the outer planets saying this is a once in a entire millennia of awakening that is beyond, honestly beyond what we have ever dreamt of. And so some of the ways in which we can work with this, the future really truly is in our hands. And these are some of the reasons why I felt really inspired to share about how we can work with astrology as a tool for liberation instead of a confine of chasing ourselves around and around in the same cycles of the old stories and of the old the wounds. The stars do not bind us. The planets don't command us. The universe does not dictate. It's inviting us to wake up and to remember. And so as we stand here together at the threshold of these two realities, where one is collapsing and the other one's being born, the choice is not distant. It's not abstract. It's made in every single moment, in every single thought, in every single word, every single frequency that we hold. This is definitely something that we were all born for. We all chose to be here. And the victimization program is dissolving in the presence of this realization. And that's a lot of what the prophecy of 2027 is offering us, is freedom. Freedom from the illusion, freedom from the suffering, from the pain of illusion. And so this is not a time for hesitation. It's a time for us to be fully awake, fully embodied. We are truly the bridge of what was and what is becoming. And it's going to take our full participation. So thank you so much for being here to celebrate, for being awake on the planet at this time. And in closing, I have one more gift for you, a little short video, 2-minute video, to remind us again who we truly are.
Interesting species, an interesting mix. You're capable of such beautiful dreams and such horrible nightmares. You feel so lost, so cut off, so alone. In all our searching, the only thing we found that makes the emptiness bearable is each other. And everyone, happy spring, happy time of renewal. And if you are interested in working with me, you can find me on my website, shannonleegill.com. That's LEI, shannonleegill.com. And many blessings to everyone.